Hey everybody, this is Mandatory Cutscene, a video game podcast with a bunch of Canadian dudes who just sit around and talk about this stuff anyways. I'm Darren. Here is Noah.
Hey.
Sebastian.
Hello.
And Aiden.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about some gaming news today and what we've been playing. So we'll just jump into it here. Yesterday, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion was shadow dropped, if you can call it that. We've kind of known about this for, I think, about 6 months now. Actually, going on a couple of years, actually, if you remember when it was actually during the Call of Duty acquisition that it was first mentioned that they had it by lawyers. But, but we've had lots of leaks in the last 6 months, I feel like. Who's been playing this?
Best kept secret in gaming.
I gave it a download and I've been checking it out. I did play the original, so there's a lot of nostalgia there for me. I wanted to give it a go. It looks amazing, I will say, right off the bat.
No, I know you're not a big Elder Scrolls fan, but you did tell me that based on the announcement and the reveal of this, that you were interested.
Yeah, I played through the first cave system thing, and then my game and computer crashed when I went to load the open world, so I have to adjust the settings before I continue. Something's wonky with my computer recently, so hopefully I can resolve that.
And also, it's day one launch.
Yeah.
Nothing's super optimized now in the year of 2025 at launch. So
yeah,
remember when games used to be complete on disc?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Or at least the bugs could be exploited somehow to make the game somehow richer.
Yeah.
Even Oblivion and Morrowind, Morrowind had ways, and like we were talking about earlier, I'm pretty sure Oblivion has spellcrafting too, but I remember in Morrowind, I had a jump spell that had limitless jump height and speed increase. So I could basically jump across the world.
Yeah, don't you run across some guy in Morrowind almost immediately that falls out of the sky in front of you that has a scroll of jump?
So you can take that and modify it. So I can't, again, I played this game when I was 9 years old or whatever, so I can't remember exactly, but you could take it and spellcraft it with, I think, a speed spell. And so whenever you use it, you would jump forward super fast as well as up in the air. And I think the key with that first spell is that it doesn't have slow fall. So yes, you can also modify it so it has slow fall now. And yeah, combining all that together, it was, one of my best gaming memories.
Or you just pray that you land in water.
Yeah, which is possible. I mean, it was an island, so you could set that up.
Yeah, Morrowind was my first Elder Scrolls game. This remaster, I have been playing a bunch of it, does make me hopeful that they're going to get Virtuous, which is the team from France that did this remaster, which is a remake. I don't know why they're calling it a remaster. It's confusing. But the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remaster, I hope they do this for all of the other back cataloged Elder Scrolls games, because I now want to play Morrowind like this. It would be harder to do that, and it would be especially harder to do a Daggerfall or Arena remaster of this kind of thing. But even if they re-release Skyrim, I know they've released Skyrim 30 million times by now, but if they do it like this, I'll play it again.
I mean, we don't really know with what's going to happen with 6 yet, right? For all we know, it's going to encompass the world that 1 and 2 took place in, and maybe even somehow incorporate Morrowind into it too, right? So maybe this is just a teaser of things to come.
I don't know if it's just leaks, but I think, don't we already know that it takes place in High Rock?
I don't know if that's confirmed, but I have heard that rumor as well.
I had thought I'd heard Hammerfell, but I don't know if that, I don't know Tamriel that well, so I don't know where the places are located. But yeah, I mean, who knows?
No, have you played any of the Elder Scrolls games?
I played a good chunk of Skyrim. I think I played through the main story, but I didn't do everything.
Okay.
And I played a bit of the original Oblivion, but not very much. I think it was over at a friend's house when I was younger, and he had it on his PC, so I tried it out there. But not really much. This one, again, the visuals, you were right. The visuals for this remaster are amazing, and I'm hoping that by changing some settings, I can continue to play it.
Yeah, I had to, once I was out into the open world, I had to drop down to medium. I was also streaming at the same time, but yeah, I had to drop it down to medium with DLSS on to get it to run smoothly. But now it seems to be okay on my end, but I have a relatively beefy rig. But it's not just the visuals that have been changed. Again, this is why I think it's a remake, not a remaster. They changed the UI. They changed up the leveling system. They changed the motion and locomotion for the characters and the rigs in the game. Damn, what else did they change? I feel like they changed a lot. And somehow they married two different engines to make this thing.
Well, yeah, they re-recorded a whole whack of lines too. So now all the individual species have like their own distinct accents or whatever, I guess now.
Yes, thank you.
But I guess they left, apparently they left all of the core, like the really memorable lines. I never played Oblivion, I'll be honest. It's one of those games that I've played the opening sequence to probably 7 or 8 times and never gotten past my first Oblivion gate.
Well, you just hate Patrick Stewart? You play the opening level, you're like, no, I'm a Kirk fan. And honestly, I saw the opening schematic or the opening sequence in this new engine, and my God, it looks so much cooler. Yeah. I mean, at the time, that's how I felt when I saw it on 360.
Oh, 100%. It's just, age is definitely showing if you go back to the original Oblivion. In terms of the animation and stuff like that. It is definitely clunkier.
They really liked their bloom lighting back in 2006.
I remember a lot of the characters almost glowing.
There's already mods, like over 100 mods out for this. And apparently like 95% of them are just reshades. Trying to change like the color of the world, trying to make it that more like vibrant green instead of the brown that it seems to have.
I personally like this art style a lot better, especially when it gets to like golden hour in the day. But
yeah, it definitely suits the game a lot more.
The bloom lighting was the one part of Oblivion I didn't like, because I played Morrowind on the original Xbox. I did not beat it. I was young and it was my cousin's Xbox, but we played a bunch of it, and that was like a more grounded, grittier seeming art style. Like it was older, but like Morrowind was, definitely a lot more brown, dirtier looking. And then Oblivion almost hurt my eyes with how green and bright everything was.
Yeah.
Ever since then, I basically disabled bloom in every game I play. I can't stand bloom. I cannot stand bloom lighting. It always creates like a weird glow around things, like you said.
Yeah, I usually turn off bloom in modern games. Bloom, motion blur, and chromatic aberration all have to go.
Oh, motion blur, that's another one.
Yeah,
every single time. Every single time.
For me, it depends on the game. Some types of games are better for it. I'll leave it on in a racing game.
I also find it's better when the game offers like different levels of motion blur instead of just like sometimes there's camera, sometimes there's action motion blur, there's just high, medium, or low.
Sometimes it's object specific.
Yeah, that's a much better application than just having it on or off.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that maybe they called it a remaster instead of a remake because they'd rather have people saying, no, it should have been called a remake than complaining that if they called it a remake and they used some of the assets from the original game that it shouldn't be considered a remake?
It's not a bad point.
If that was the play, that's pretty smart.
Plus, then they can release a remake in the next Unreal Engine.
That's true.
I mean, people are saying this is like an 80% remake. They basically keep the core game intact in all ways, shapes, and forms, but they remake everything around it. So take from that what you will.
I mean, and apparently the bones of this game still are the original, or at least it's the original engine that is being used for how the game functions. But again, they still said that they changed stuff like how some of the combat works and some of the motion works. So they had to tweak stuff in that engine too, I'm assuming. But yeah, very excited for that. The only thing I am confused about is I actually think that the release date that was leaked was actually, in my mind, it would make more sense if that was a mock-up and not an actual release date, but they had to go close to that release date because of the leaks, because I'm confused as to why Microsoft would put this out like 2 days before Claire Obscura Expedition 33. It's a different type of RPG, but another big in the spotlight RPG is getting released on Game Pass, 2 days later.
Yeah, it would be a little bit of a weird choice if that was intentional, unless because Bethesda is their own first party property, they're hoping that people gravitate towards that because it came first. Because Claire Obscura, I think, it's coming to Game Pass, but I don't think it's a first party developer unless I'm mistaken.
No, it's not a first party. It's actually, what's the name of them? It's a French studio out of Paris.
Mm-hmm.
So What's funny is both of these games were probably made quite close to each other. That game looks cool. I want to check it out because one of my favorite RPGs of all time is Final Fantasy X. That is like a seminal RPG for me growing up. And I've seen a lot of comparisons of it to Final Fantasy X specifically. Also, voice cast seems great. It's got Charlie Cox from Daredevil is like the main guy. And then the other lead is, I'm blanking on her name, who plays Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate?
Jennifer English.
Jennifer English, thank you, is the other lead. I haven't played the game yet. I don't have any early access. I'm not that important. But I definitely want to check it out. I'm into turn-based RPGs. It looks very cool. Is anyone else interested in this at all?
Oh yeah, this is one that I'm definitely going to check out. As soon as I saw it announced, I was intrigued, and then the more I found out about it, the more interested I became. I've been seeing some reviews and stuff that are starting to filter out as well, and I've heard basically nothing but good things about it. So very excited there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been received really, really well, it seems like. I honestly didn't hear about it until probably today. And yeah, there's a Reddit release thread, and everybody's just waxing about it. So yeah, I don't know. It seems interesting. It's an interesting turn-based system, so I don't know. I'll probably check it out.
I'm excited to see how the turn-based system that they've done plays out as well, because from what I hear, they've addressed, I guess, a lot of the issues that a lot of people seem to have with turn-based systems, where they can get kind of tedious and static, where you choose an action on your turn and then it filters through all the other turns and then comes back to you and you choose one more action, and it kind of just goes on like that. It's a turn-based system, but from what I understand, it has real-time elements as well. So there's an active parry and block system. You can counterattack, all that kind of stuff. So you're actually taking actions while other turns are happening. You're not just kind of choosing something to do on your turn and then waiting for the turns to pass and it gets back around to you.
Someone said it was similar to like Mario RPG in that sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I hate to tell you, but they solved that issue on SNES. I played Mario RPG as a kid growing up. That game was great. Final Fantasy VIII did that as well with the trigger, with the gunblade when you would attack. And also Legend of Dragoon had real-time events, I believe, for some of their attacks.
Yep.
And all of those games were fantastic.
Legend of Legaia, I think, had Legend of Mana had it. There were so many Legend games on Legend and Legendary games on PS1.
Never played a Legend game. Noah, you're not as normally as into RPGs. Have you checked out this game at all? Are you interested?
I think I saw the trailer, and I think that's all I've seen. I'll probably give it a shot, especially if it's on Game Pass or something like that.
It is day one Game Pass.
Perfect, because I don't know if I would buy it, but I would definitely give it a shot if it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, it looks super cinematic.
I looked at the developer. It's Sandfall Interactive, published by Kubernetic, I think, or something like that.
Sandfall, okay.
Yeah, and they're an indie publisher, or they're an indie developer.
Published by Kepler. Right?
That's it, Kepler.
Yeah, I think this is their first big game as far as I'm aware of anyways, and it looks incredible.
That's my understanding as well. I've been hearing as well that there's a lot more depth than might be expected from it too. A lot of exploration and just kind of things, secrets, mini games, whatever you want to call them, to kind of uncover. So definitely excited to dive into this one.
Do you think if this one gets like really good reviews and people really enjoy it, that this type of game, turn-based RPGs, end up getting made more and more and more and more by developers?
Maybe, but I think this is more a response to games that got popular recently already, rather than it gonna like Persona 5 came out, like that happened, and I feel like this is more like the fact that this is so hyped and people are looking forward to this is because people were already into Persona, which then was followed by the Yakuza series transitioning into turn-based RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I think we're already kind of down that path, that people are getting more back into the nostalgia of turn-based RPGs.
Yeah. And then was it 2 years ago now was Baldur's Gate 3 that I think really pushed that to the forefront.
Yeah.
Little different style
Yeah.
CRPG versus, your kind of traditional turn-based system, but still I think it really kind of made it apparent that there is still at least a taste for that more patient, I guess, turn-based kind of style of gameplay.
It's also perfect for like playing solo or playing co-op. Like there's no real big thing that's going to stop you from being able to play with either in a group or by yourself.
Sorry,
Where
for
there's
which
some
game?
games, any turn-based RPG, right? That has co-op. You can play it solo or multiplayer, which is an advantage. Where things like a shooter game that has co-op, there's a skill level that is a bit more like dexterity related versus like,
intelligence stats.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need the twitch reflexes for a game like this. And, you know, you can leave it sitting on the menu and kind of figure out what it is you want to do. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's easier to show new gamers because it doesn't rely on muscle memory. It's as long as you can critical think, you can kind of get into it. Yeah, games like I've always loved turn-based RPGs. I've always loved CRPGs and tactics RPGs and things of the sort. Yeah, Baldur's Gate is more like a tactics RPG, I would say, than this type of RPG. Actually, that reminds me, I didn't add this to the docket, but did you guys see the announcement for Star Wars Zero Company?
I did actually.
It got announced a couple days ago at the Star Wars event in Japan, and it's a XCOM like Star Wars game.
Oh,
that's cool.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, that's very cool. So I haven't looked a ton into it. I just saw like the brief little snippet preview trailer, but I recommend checking it out. I'm a big XCOM fan, and it looks very cool. It's not made by Firaxis, as far as I'm aware. I don't think it is.
I mean, so this might be good for us as well too, because I did hear the other day that they're putting out a new Mechanicus game soon too. And since we couldn't get the first one to work without it being all janky, maybe the second one will work better.
We weren't playing Mechanicus. We were playing Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader.
Oh, I thought we tried Mechanicus, didn't we?
No, not as a group. Mechanicus is cool though. Yeah. Warhammer Mechanicus. Yeah, that's the one where you're the tech priest playing and you're against the Necrons, right?
Yes. Okay, I have those. I had the two mixed up. You're right. Yeah, Rogue Trader.
Yeah, we got to get together and play more Warhammer.
Yeah, that's another thing.
You can start a second podcast all about Warhammer.
Mandatory heresy.
Now what else? mandatory heresy. I like it. Now what was the other thing we were looking into here on the docket? Oh yeah, Concord. I mean Marathon.
Little Freudian slip there.
Yeah. So yeah, Bungie's making a games as a service, although Destiny's kind of a games as a service, but a games as a service extraction shooter set in the world of Marathon, which is their old Doom-like from Apple, the Apple days.
Yeah.
It looks pretty cool. I've been watching people stream the alpha and it seems pretty fun. There's been some complaints by some people, but I think it's just people who want high skill level games being mad that people with low skill level can play it. So yeah, I'm excited to see what changes they make based off feedback as well.
Yeah, with a game like this, that's always interesting to see. I haven't been following it super closely personally. Extraction shooters aren't really my thing, so I'm definitely not the target audience. But it might, I don't know, from what I've been hearing, it at least sounds like it's fun. Hopefully they take it in the right direction and it doesn't end up with a Concord-like situation where it's a game that probably should have been free to play that they sell for whatever their price point is. I feel like I've been hearing like the $40 to $50 US range.
Yeah, I've been hearing that as well. I think it's a $50 or around there USD range. I hope it's not a full price, $80 game, because that would be nuts, I feel, at this point. But yeah, it's you have to pay for it, but it's also games as a service. And from what I've heard, I think there's only 2 maps at launch with a third on the way after launch.
I think that's what I've been hearing as well.
From what I've heard, the game looks cool, and like, see, if it was free, I might check it out. But based on, I'm not super vibing with the art style.
Yeah,
the whole artistic design that they went with for this game, I'm not super vibing with. And also, I don't have time to play that many games as a service, so I personally don't know if I'm going to try it out. If they do like a trial, or I'll jump into one of the betas. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe not for me.
if they do an open beta, or if there's like a free weekend or something, I know Steam will sometimes do those kind of events. I might give it a try, but I definitely agree with you on the art style. I from what I understand with their lore, I think the idea is that the characters you play as are supposed they're 3D printed, or they're like androids or artificial humanoids, I guess, that you kind of take possession of virtually, is my understanding. The aesthetic, I think, is supposed to fit with the lore, but to me everything just looks like it's made out of plastic, and it's a little off-putting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Perfect.
you're like jacking into robots kind of thing.
I think that's the idea, but I could be very wrong. I'm not, don't quote me on it.
I'd rather jack in a robot than jack off a robot.
I was. Yeah. I mean, you think about it. There's a lot of robots that are made specifically for that purpose.
No, they can. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
Moving on.
Oh gosh.
Gosh. Yeah. Honestly, to me, again, I've watched the videos, I've read the articles and stuff. I don't see the point. Like, to me, it just seems like it looks like Apex. It looks like Warzone. It looks like any other game. Like, I don't see why they're doing it. Seems like they're trying to grab a sliver of an already pretty small pie, or of a shrinking pie. Like, to me, at this point in time, like, extraction shooters are kind of past their prime. So for them to put these kind of resources into this, I don't know.
I do think the distinction between like a battle royale and an extraction shooter might be helpful. I don't think extraction shooters are as saturated as the battle royale space, but there's definitely more of them. I'll be honest, I'm not the best person to talk about it. It's not really a genre that has that much appeal to me. I find them too stressful, and I end up just pulling my hair out.
Well, and it's one of those things, when I win once, or when I beat it once or twice, I'm always like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't really feel the need to keep playing it. Like, that's the same thing. Like, I think I won a game of Warzone, like, probably within the first, 10 times I played it. I'm like, okay, I'm done. And I haven't touched it since.
Yeah.
It's like, same with Apex, same with, I don't know, anything like that.
There is definitely more of those coming out, though. I can think of, there's obviously Tarkov. I know there's one coming out called Legendary, I think, or something like that. It's a fantasy one. And then there's Darker and Darker as well, which isn't, but they just have different skins of an extraction shooter. There's not necessarily a shooter. Some of them are more medieval.
Yeah, I played some of Hunt Showdown when it first came out, which was the Crytek extraction shooter. I thought when it was first announced, quite a long time ago, that game was going to be huge, but it never really took off as big as people, or as much as I thought it was going to. I don't know. I don't know if it's just me. I don't think Marathon's going to take off and be the next big thing unless the Destiny community really carries it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I don't see it taking off in a huge way, but yeah, if there's Bungie super fans that want to play it just to get that kind of Destiny fix, I guess, as far as new content goes.
Yeah. I mean, I am more inclined to play this than I would be for something like Tarkov, because I feel like this is going to be on Steam and consoles, whereas Tarkov, I think, is its own bespoke client.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder if they put it on Game Pass for a limited time when it launches to get people interested in the game, and then they'll take it off Game Pass to try to get the sales.
I don't know if you could take it off to get sales. I feel like that would spark a lot of backlash, but I guess we'll see what they end up doing.
There's games that do limited runs on Game Pass. I guess those are more single player games usually, though. So they could day one Game Pass it and say for the first 6 months it's going to be on Game Pass, and then it's going to go off Game Pass, which would then force people who are playing it through Game Pass either buy it through Xbox or buy it on Steam or buy it on PlayStation or whatever service they're using.
I mean, I feel like it's more likely that it's going to be put on PlayStation Plus, like one of the free monthly games on PlayStation Plus at some point, because it is actually owned by PlayStation.
Yeah.
Oh, fair. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Bungie got bought out, I think, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was around the time that Microsoft did the big Activision acquisition, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and they made a big deal out of it, and everybody's like, all right.
I think they were doing a kind of back and forth, I don't know, arms race, I guess, as far as video game development's concerned.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this was their response to Activision, and nobody really cared.
Well, because I remember being confused about it, because I'm pretty sure part of the stipulation when Bungie got sold to them is like, we're making our games multi-platform though.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
I think that was part of the stipulation when they got bought, or at least understanding for like the first game. Maybe they already had Marathon in mind then, so maybe this is something that Bungie wanted to do before being acquired by PlayStation, which would be funny because it was around the same time that PlayStation really wanted to do live service games. I think it was actually a way bigger deal when they acquired Bethesda, because I'm loving these Bethesda games, and I played the last Call of Duty game and I was kind of underwhelmed.
Yep.
They need to take a break. Just like every other game needs to take a break every so often.
Was Oblivion released on PlayStation as well?
Yes, Oblivion was on PS4.
That's where I played it first.
Yeah, because if they hadn't done that, that means they would have gone back on their agreement with the U.S. Trade Commission or whatever. Because I think part of the acquisition and why they allowed them to buy Activision, Blizzard, and Bethesda was that they had to allow the games to be multi-platform still.
No, Bethesda was already owned like a year or two before.
Okay, then it was during the purchase of Activision Blizzard.
It was during the
then.
Activision one.
Yeah,
I also
yeah.
thought you meant the original Oblivion, because PS3 was
No.
where I played that first, so it was also
Yeah.
on PlayStation.
I think
The remaster is also available cross-platform.
I think if I recall too, I don't know if it was Oblivion or Skyrim, but it took them a lot longer to port it over to PS3 because PS3's programming architecture was just so complex and convoluted.
I know
They couldn't get it to run
PS3
right.
was super hard for any developer to put anything on. And yeah, I think that was for Skyrim. They had a lot of issues, and there's still a memory leak issue on PS3 with that game.
Just don't open things.
But I want to hoard all of the cheese and the spoons in my house.
All about the spoons.
Spoons and cheese. Isn't that's a thing? That's a meme within Elder Scrolls, right?
No idea.
I
In
just did it.
Oblivion, Cher Gorath, cheese for everyone.
I just honestly in Morrowind, I just collected spoons before I knew what a meme was. I think memes at that point in time were like still considered like 1940s political slogans.
Let's jump into what we're playing lately, and yeah. So you know you've been playing Dragon Wilds.
Been playing Dragon Wilds. I've been playing a bit of Battlefield 2042 with you and Aiden.
Yep.
And yeah, and then Oblivion. But yeah, Dragon Wilds, I'm having a lot of fun with. It's very good. I'm actually finding the combat extremely difficult. I die a lot. And I have definitely just alt F4'd out of that game many times because it's so frustrating.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. There's been so many instances where like I'm just so far away and I'm suddenly hunted by goblins.
Yeah.
And then I die. And then out of nowhere, yeah, I have to do that corpse run again and again. Reminds me of old like World of Warcraft in a way. And I guess like Valheim had it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
So it's in the RuneScape universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I think it takes place on like a completely like it's in the same universe, but like it's in somewhere completely removed from the original game.
So they're
I
just
don't know,
banking
it
on the
feels
RuneScape name.
The aesthetic kind of fits RuneScape a bit, I think.
Yeah.
Like the way that the buildings look and the weapons and armor is very much similar to the way that, or I guess kind of the style that RuneScape had. Like RuneScape had less detail. But
Yeah, no, it's very much like the cartoony aesthetic is very much in line with like late 90s, early 2000s, like blocky 3D, quasi kind of isometric RPGs.
yeah.
Okay.
So, and the skill system and stuff like that, like the resource collection, I guess that all existed in the original RuneScape, but I wasn't a RuneScape kid. I played Ultima Online, which was even like more primitive than RuneScape.
Yeah. The magic system is entirely based off of runes in the game as well, though. So that there's that as well.
Okay.
So I guess that yeah.
So is that a thing that was in the original game, like sorry, in the MMO?
I think so. I think you to do enchanting, you had to use specific runes to enchant weapons, and I think you had to have runes to cast spells as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I've never played RuneScape.
I played it when I was in like middle school, so a very long time ago.
Yeah, I played a very, very little bit of it.
Yeah, my
I think
first
everybody,
MMO
like, kind of-
exposure was WoW.
I think everybody like maybe like logged in at least once or twice because it was just so easy to like get into. You just had to go to RuneScape.com or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was also free to play.
Exactly.
When did it come
It's
out?
just a barrier of entry.
I need to know when the
Oh,
first RuneScape came out.
90s. It's yeah, old school RuneScape I think came out in 99.
2001.
2001.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
have been, I think, late 2000s was when I made a character and briefly was playing.
See, like the PS2 was already out at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like I remember my friend playing RuneScape and showed it to me, and especially on computers back then, like none of my friends had a gaming PC, right? We all just like had like the desktops that were in our house. So it was like this really kind of crappy looking game that also ran at like 5 frames a second.
Yeah.
That was how I remember my experience as well. I was like, this is cool, and it's cool that I can play with friends, but I'd kind of rather go do that instead on the PlayStation or the Xbox or whatever.
I would be very much more inclined to try Dragon Wilds. It looks a lot better. I'm looking at pictures of it right now, some screenshots. It looks a lot cooler. And I'm much more into like, a small co-op based game rather than like an MMO in that setting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would say that the survival aspect of it is pretty forgiving.
Okay.
From what I've played so far.
Yeah, like your health your health regeneration is pretty much based on where your like food level is and your like your thirst level and your rest, which as you're healing up that kind of goes down. But it's really easy to find food, like ridiculously easy. Like there's just cabbages everywhere.
Yeah. And then the higher tier food, or the food that you can make in the game, usually gives you some sort of bonus or like a resistance to poison or something like that.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it feels much less. It gives you Valheim vibes, but the combat is more the focus than the building, in my opinion.
At least at this point, yeah. Like,
yeah,
that's the other thing too, is that it's still very early access, which I know is kind of, bad words to a lot of people. But I mean, a lot of games kind of stay in early access forever, right? Perpetually. And it's just a way of kind of continuously developing them, I guess. But
yeah, I play Star Citizen, so I understand that pain.
Oh gosh.
Oh dear. When did you get into it?
Like 2019, maybe.
Oh geez.
Something like that. It was before the pandemic.
That's when you were inducted into a cult.
Yeah.
That's okay. I tried it, and like I did have fun when I played a little bit with you, which I do have a ship, so I should play with you more.
Yeah, I don't go in the actual like live server very often anymore because it's jank right now.
Yeah.
But once it stabilizes and they get a bit more new content coming out, hopefully it will become more interesting again.
So
right now they're doing a year where they're trying to stabilize the game so it's more playable for more people, which is what they need to do.
For those who don't know, children, Starfield, Citizen, son of a, every time I do this, I get the two janky in different ways space games confused. Star Citizen is a early access kind of MMO light giant open galaxy game.
It was originally meant to be a universe sim. It was supposed to be universe sim almost before, and then they've had to scale it back where now it's more of a space sim MMO RPG.
Yes. And now that game has been in early access since, for what, 10 years?
12.
At least 12 years.
Well, yeah. And they've made over $500 million in
I was going to add,
Yes.
It's all backers too. Like,
And they sell in-game
actual ships.
Yeah. They sell in-game ships. Some of them aren't in-game ships, though. Some of them are pictures of ships they will eventually put in the game.
That's crazy.
And they're priced outrageously, if I'm not mistaken, aren't they?
You can buy some ships for a couple $100, can't you?
So, dude, their ships are
Isn't there one that's like, I'm pretty sure there's like a $10,000 ship.
Wow.
But now, the one thing I will say in defense of that kind of behavior is that those ships were done at the most of them were done at the very beginning of the whole campaign, and people knew they weren't going to get it until the game came out. And these are like capital ships you can't even play by yourself with. So the cost of them kind of is more appropriate. I think the base package is probably the most reasonable thing, which is $45 US, and you get access to the game.
Call me old fashioned. I don't think any digital content, no matter how big it is in the game, should cost close to $1,000.
Right now, they're having issues with pushback in general, just because they're not moving fast enough. Like again, 12 years is a long time to come out with a game that's still in alpha.
Yeah,
to say the least.
And Aiden, you've also been playing Dragon Wilds?
Oh yeah, it's I've completely stepped away from Valheim. Like it's completely replaced it. It's still, because it's so early in the development, it's still pretty shallow in some ways, but it's still scratching the same itch, and it's still like it's a lot more polished in a lot of different ways.
Okay.
The one thing I do kind of miss is Valheim's reliance on ships and stuff. Like that was kind of unique, and you kind of really made you feel like a Viking. So
for sure.
But yeah, no, it's great. I haven't gotten into the magic system all that much, except for like the little quick abilities you can cast, which again, they feel so good that you don't really mind. Like it doesn't feel like you're cheating, I guess, and like cooldowns like feel good as well too. So
yeah, as you level up, you unlock like abilities that essentially give you faster ways of collecting resources. So like there's one that lets you explode a rock and it blows up all the rocks beside it, or one where you can line up a bunch of trees and all of them will get chopped down at once.
Okay.
That's honestly really nice. I don't think I've ever had a survival game that outside of upgrading your equipment gives you a faster way to do resource gathering. With the exception of maybe Satisfactory, but I would say that's a bit different.
Yeah, definitely.
I might have to check that out at some point. But yeah, I just got a lot of games on my plate at the moment. Sebastian, what have you been playing?
I have been diving, head first, full body, whatever you want to call it, into Blueprints this week. My God, I have been loving that game.
Wait a second. Did I just get the pun?
What?
Is it Blueprints? Like, I know it's like Prince, like, royalty, but is it supposed to be like Blueprints, like...
Yes.
Like the layout of a house?
Yes, the name is a pun, because for anyone who's not aware, that is the core gameplay loop. Is your character inherits a manor from his great uncle, who leaves out stipulations where you only get your inheritance if you find the 46th room in his 45 room house. And so you spend all of your time going through the house, opening doors. Every time you open a door, you're presented with a choice of 3 rooms. You choose one of those blueprints to build that room into your house, and then you kind of progress, and each room has puzzles to solve. Each room has puzzles to solve, or some rooms have puzzles to solve, but there are also kind of bigger overarching puzzles. I don't want to give too much away for people who might want to try playing it. I do recommend it, but it's been a very good time.
I've heard it's getting a lot of good reviews. I haven't actually watched any gameplay or played it at all myself, but it looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I've played it a bit. I've put about 6 or 7 hours into it now, I think. I like it. It's cool. A lot of parts of it are good. I think the RNG in this game is way less forgiving than most roguelites that I've ever played.
I do get where you're coming from with that. I do think to a certain extent it is also kind of to be expected with the genre. I think we were talking about it earlier, and I think there are some steps that they could maybe take to eliminate some of the feels bad moments. But I think of a game like Slay the Spire that I played a lot of as well. There were definitely times in a Slay the Spire run where my run just came to an end because I ended up with bad RNG. I either didn't draw the cards I needed at the right time, or the random boss that generated in the elite room that I was kind of shoehorned into based on the path that I ended up on just wasn't something that I was capable of taking on at that time. I don't know. I guess my viewpoint on it is that with this kind of game, it happens, and it's going to be what it's going to be. But it is frustrating. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I just think that most roguelites RNG determines how hard a run is going to be, but the RNG in this game can straight up determine if you can proceed at all, which is just feels bad in my opinion.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I guess my counter to that would be that, at least in my experience, usually there's something that because of the nature of like some of the, I guess, bigger, more scaled up puzzles that this game has, there's usually things that you can glean about the, I guess, broader scope of the game, regardless of how the run goes. But yeah, I mean, there are definitely times where I've had a run that runs, or that ends, sorry, 2 or 3 ranks into the house.
Yeah, I had 2 runs in a row where I didn't unlock any new information, any new rooms, and it kind of just railroaded me into walls and corners or locked doors with not enough resources to get through them. And I was like, so I think it's fixable. They can tweak stuff to make you not run into these dead ends as often, or give you something by the end of a run. But that was 2 runs in a row where I didn't get anything out of it. No new rooms, no new little hidden journal entries or stuff. So I'm not sure if I was spoiled, because my first few runs of the game, I made it really far. Yeah. And then subsequent runs after that, I made it like 2 or 3 rows in and immediately couldn't go anywhere.
I know, like, my experience with the game, my first few runs ended on, I think it was like rank 2 or rank 3.
How long does a run usually take, you think?
20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good average. I've had some quicker than that. I've had some good ones, because there are ways to gain more steps.
Some will be an hour though.
That are multiple hours.
Yeah.
I think my longest, I had a run where I was gaining a bunch of steps, and it ended at like 307 steps taken or something like that. But there's a good number of ways to kind of increase the length of a run. But for me, it feels very, or it harkens back, I guess, to a lot of like the old school game design. I think that one of the rooms, I think, has a little instruction that actually recommends that you keep a journal beside you, so that you can make notes of things you discover and potential solutions to puzzles, or even just random crap that you find around the house that you think might potentially be important for something later on.
Now, this might be a hot take. I do personally think, though, that like the game is fine. I think it's good, not incredible, but it's a mashup of things that we have in other games, and by themselves are nothing. Like, we've had roguelites, we've had if this game was just a puzzle game, and you started with just a mansion that was 54 rooms, and you had to go and solve puzzles, and you could go between all of the rooms, and just on like the puzzling aspect of it, nothing has blown me away with the puzzles.
That's fair. Have you found any of like the kind of bigger scope puzzles yet? I don't know how much you're
like ones that you have to do through multiple rooms.
Well, there are some that span like the entire house.
And what I'm saying, like, if this game wasn't leaning on the roguelite aspect, and this was all one pre-built house that you just had to go back and forth, like puzzle games we've had in the past, like Myst, type of a game, because to me this is like Myst but a roguelite, then I don't think it would be. I don't know if it's as good as Myst, if you know what I mean, like the puzzles themselves.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I think the puzzle design is good. I don't think there's anything like overly challenging.
I don't think anything in the game other than the RNG is bad, but I also don't think anything in the game like outstanding, fantastic, crazy game design, pushing boundaries and stuff. But I think people are like into roguelites like right now, and like people are into puzzle games, and this is the first kind of big roguelite puzzler that I can think of. But I think it could have been better.
That's fair.
It's mostly the RNG, and I'm butthurt. I know I am. The rest of it's good, but not great in my opinion. But it is good. It's a good game, but the RNG I think could use tweaking. And really quickly, we'll touch on, so the Switch 2 is not getting a price increase in spite of the potential tariffs, which the tariffs got delayed, but they announced that the Pre-orders for that are going ahead in the US, but they haven't announced the date for us in Canada yet, which is kind of annoying. But the price for the actual console and the games is not being raised, but some of the accessories like the camera and the controllers are going up like $5 to $10 each.
I mean, that's
Okay.
I feel like that's about as good news as you could hope for given the situation.
Yeah, that's not bad. We'll see what happens here in Canada if we get it
It's
on the
tomorrow.
same. What's tomorrow?
The pre-orders begin tomorrow, I think.
What?
Oh wow!
When did this?
But they haven't announced a price.
On the 18th, they did announce a price. It's saying the same, $629 or $699.
So it was announced on the 18th that it's gonna be up for pre-order on the 24th in Canada.
Yeah, and that's on Nintendo.com.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
I got a pre-order tomorrow.
Right.
Or trying
Getting there
to.
nice and
Does
early.
this have a time code like 8 a.m. EST? Oh, you're typing it to me. Let's go.
I'm just sending
If
you the
anyone
link.
else in Canada, well, actually, this is not going to go live until at least Friday, so this won't help any of you. But I'm going to try to order this, and I'll let you know how the ordering went on the next show. Sick. Okay, I think that's all of the news that we had for this episode.
Did we want to cover the humanoid arachnid situation in Magic the Gathering Arena?
Yes, you could take that away if you'd like.
I mean, I don't know a ton about it. All I've heard is that the new Spider-Man set that's coming out is being reskin, I guess, for the Arena client specifically.
Yeah, so the video game version itself is not getting the actual Spider-Man set, but the exact same set with different named cards with different visuals as a parody.
To try to keep it in the Magic the Gathering universe. My suspicion is that this is a licensing issue with probably
That's what I was gonna
Snap
say.
is my guess.
Yeah.
That there's some sort of there's some sort of legal problem with having, Spider-Man in two different digital card formats, whereas the, tabletop paper version of Magic the Gathering doesn't have that same licensing issue.
It could also be limited time. The licensing could have an end date.
Yeah. I think, Darren, you had mentioned that when we spoke about it a little earlier.
Yeah, like that's what I would think that it would have been, is that the license will eventually expire, and on Magic the Gathering Arena, you can still usually try to buy or collect cards through trading in for older sets. But if the license expires and you as an individual do not already have that card in your collection, I don't think you'd be able to get it. So, and some people get annoyed about those type of situations. Like I play Dead by Daylight, or I used to, and they had a licensing agreement. Well, they have a lot of licenses with horror franchises, but with Stranger Things, and then they lost the Stranger Things license. So you could no longer play as Nancy or Steve or the Demogorgon unless you already owned it. So there was a killer that some people had that no one else could buy, with unique mechanics and stuff.
And that's the catch,
yeah.
right? Or the kicker, I guess, is when it's something that's mechanically unique in any sort of competitive game. I don't know what the competitive scene is like for Dead by Daylight, if there is one, but I mean, Magic the Gathering has, a pretty big casual scene, but there is also a pretty hefty competitive, professional, I guess, scene for it as well. And if you've got some people that have access to certain cards and other people that don't, I feel like that creates a bit of an issue in the game space. So I can understand why they're doing it if it is a licensing issue. It
also allows them to set up the cards, so if they do want to reprint those cards, they have alternatives already ready.
Yeah, from what they've done with the universes beyond, I mean, I guess in the past has been with the secret layers. They've already kind of set that precedent. I think the first one that came out was the Walking Dead cards that everybody was up in arms about. I want to say it was 5 years ago now, because I remember hearing about it, I think, shortly before the pandemic.
And those did get reprints.
And yeah, they got their own kind of unique, or not unique, I guess, but they got their own in-universe equivalents reprinted that have different names but are effectively the same card. And then I think the Stranger Things ones that they came out with shortly after did the same thing.
Yeah, I think
The Rings one.
I think they've done that for all of the licensed ones though. Like I think the Street Fighter Secret Lair was the same thing.
Yep, I think you're right. They had in-universe versions. The Lord of the Rings one, I don't think they have, but I think
Those are just reskins of actual cards, though, weren't they?
yeah, a lot of the
No.
cards from the Lord of the Rings set, well,
The One
a
Ring and
lot
shit.
of them were, but there were cards from the Lord of the Rings set that are unique, and I don't think they have, and I also don't think they will do an in-universe reprinting of that.
But that was a full set.
That was a full set, and I think part of it too is that like The Walking Dead, Stranger Things, and Street Fighter, to a lesser extent, are a bit of a, I mean, they're a bigger deviation from the kind of universe, I guess, that Magic the Gathering has created for itself. Lord of the Rings very much more easily kind of slides into that fantasy universe.
Yeah.
And speaking of sliding in, don't slide into our DMs because Arena is technically a video game. We're still on brand.
But yes, I'll stop talking about, my niche non-video game interest.
All right, now to Warhammer. So you picked out Eldari, right? No, I'm kidding. Just before we move on to the very end, I'll say what I've been playing lately. I've been playing a lot of Xenoblade Chronicles on my Switch, just as a chill, casual game to play on the couch, which I love using my Switch for just actual handheld gaming. Xenoblade Chronicles, by the way, one of the greatest JRPGs that I've ever played, and I recommend that everybody try it. The music is so good, and it's on Switch, so it's kind of fuzzy looking, but the vistas are incredible. The voice acting and the story is top notch, and the gameplay is kind of in between a turn-based and a real-time. Like, it is a real-time action kind of a turn, or kind of an RPG, but there is still sort of turns sometimes, and you can like look into the future and stuff. It's interesting, but I highly recommend. Xenoblade games are great.
Is that the first time you played that, or?
I played it a bunch back on stream like 2 or 3 years ago, and then I moved, and then I stopped playing it, and then I wanted to start streaming it again, but I forgot everything that had happened in the story, so I decided to replay it up to that point. And I'm like halfway there now. I'm like 25 hours in, and it's fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Well, I'll have to go rewatch the VODs then to also get caught up when you start streaming it again.
There you go. That just brings us to our tier list for the end of the episode. So with this tier list, some might do better at this than others. I'm sorry, Noah. But we're going to go through Bethesda franchises. Bethesda, the publishing company, not Bethesda, the studio, like the actual dev.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, is this blind or is this?
Yeah, blind. They're all blind.
Okay.
Yes, you were my 3 blind mice. All right, so we'll start off here. So we'll start with, the easy one. Actually, no, we're not going to start with the easy one. We're going to start we're going Quake.
Ooh.
I will be honest, I might have played a little bit of, was it
3?
Which Quake was it that was on, I think it was PlayStation 3.
Unreal Tournament?
No, Quake Tournament, I
No,
think.
there was a
Quake
game
Tournament.
on PS3.
Yeah. Quake Tournament was a thing. Yes.
I think I played that one.
Yeah, I played a
as
little
well.
bit of that, but I think it was a game that I had borrowed from someone and I didn't have online access, so it was literally just running around an arena shooting bots. So I will pass this judgment off to everyone else here.
All right. So the thing for me, the Quake 2 engine and the Quake 3 engine, Quake 2 in particular, was used as the foundation for the Half-Life engine. I think it was the first source engine. And from that's where we got Half-Life, we got Counter-Strike, we got Team Fortress. Without that first engine, which came directly from the Quake 2 engine, we still wouldn't have like modern Counter-Strike. So I'm going to say like 6 or 7. I don't think it should be at the bottom of the list, but I definitely don't think it should be high up.
I agree with that. 6 or 7 works for me.
I'd say 7 then.
All right, then. Quake at 7. Next up, let's keep it in the same vein. Let's go Doom.
Ooh.
Come on.
I think I've played one of these games for like 10 minutes once.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You poor
When I was
man.
a kid, everybody's dad had Doom on his 386. or 486.
I didn't get my first console was PlayStation 3.
And you never played like Doom 2016 or anything, Noah?
No, I haven't even played Doom Eternal.
Oh my goodness.
Oh god, Eternal's amazing. It's like mainlining like meth to your eyeballs. It's so much fun. Honestly, like I've never been so pumped from a video game. Like it makes you feel like a god. I think personally, and I'm going out on a limb here, Doom is number 1 for me.
I would probably put Doom at 3 for myself.
Yeah, I would probably feel the same.
But
I can accept that.
3 then is what we're saying?
Yeah.
So now let's see how old you guys are. Wayne Gretzky Hockey.
I've never played that.
Oh, 3 was that them? 3D hockey?
Wayne Gretzky Hockey.
Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey.
I think so, yeah. There was 2 of them.
On N64.
I think they were PC games.
Yeah, I haven't played that myself, but because it's Wayne Gretzky, 10.
Is there an 11?
Yeah. What do you think, Sebastian?
I'm not familiar with the game.
Okay. Now that I see the cover for this, I do remember them. Is there just a way that we can just say Wayne Gretzky and Communicado? He's cut off. We cannot accept him on this list.
Wayne Gretzky 10. Deathloop.
Ooh.
Definitely was great.
It seems unique. Yeah.
It was a great game, but as far as for a tier list, though, I don't know if I'd put it crazy high.
It's not really a franchise, right? It's just a one.
I mean,
Yeah,
that could be a franchise.
I mean, it's still
It
a
could, yeah,
franchise.
no, yeah, accept that. An IP.
As of right
basically.
now, there's only one entry, but
How many multiple entry franchises do you want one publisher to have?
as of right now, there's just the one.
I'll go with whatever you say.
Without, spoiling too much, I have an idea what my top 2 are reserved for, although I'm now questioning as to whether or not Darren might be leaving them off the list just to mess with my idea. But I'm going to still operate under the assumption that those 2 franchises are in the list, and I don't know, like 4 or 5 for Deathloop?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
5.
5.
5. Definitely 5. Dishonored.
Solid 4. At
Yeah,
least.
that's kind of right where I was expecting.
Game's
it to probably
perfect.
be.
Yeah, that game is awesome. Both games are
Great
awesome.
game. If you try to run, because I think they had it as an achievement or a trophy in the game, but there's an achievement for completing the game without using any of the outsider abilities.
Oh.
Yes.
So you
yes,
just don't
there
use
is.
any of the magic.
Yes.
Which, if it weren't for the blink ability, I think wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah.
But that ability was such a crutch for me every time I played that
Exactly.
game. Just
Yep.
being able to teleport, or short distance teleport wherever you needed to go. Yeah.
Where's the Metal Gear?
Yeah. Metal Gear.
Okay, so Dishonored at 4 then. Indiana Jones.
I played it.
Right.
I have played most of that game. It's pretty fun. I wouldn't say it's higher than Quake, though.
Now, is that just the new one, or are the older Indiana Jones games also Bethesda?
I think the older ones are not
Ooh.
Bethesda.
Yeah.
'Cause I think it was LucasArts.
I think it's just
On
Great
their
Circle
own,
and
yeah.
it's Bethesda.
and one was Acclaim, I think.
It's pretty good. There's decent puzzles. Combat's pretty satisfying.
Oh yeah, I was enjoying it. Like the hand-to-hand combat felt weighty, like it was a satisfying game loop.
8.
Yeah.
I also feel like it's going to be one of those games they make one of.
It's one of those games where you feel like a genuine good guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You are fighting Nazis, so.
that's, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're saying 8.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein.
Oh, I forgot that was
Wolfenstein.
them.
I love Wolfenstein. I was waiting for this one. What do we still have open?
1, 2,
1, 2,
6, and 9. Nice.
6.
I
6.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
one or
think I'd put it
two.
as high as 2, but 6 seems fair to me.
Yeah, like it's up there with Doom. It's definitely more than Quake. Yeah, a solid 6.
Also, I just got a communique from the Continental Hotel, and Wayne Gretzky was officially excommunicated. So he's off of the list. So 10's open.
Oh, sweet.
All right, perfect. We're gonna. All right.
Because I forgot about a franchise that I have to include. So
Okay.
That might be bad for us. We might have like Elder Scrolls or Fallout at the bottom.
So Wolfenstein, you said at 6, right?
Yes.
Okay. Prey.
So I have to say the old one has one of the spookiest opening sequences I've ever seen in a game.
When you're in the bar?
Yeah, and
It's
Don't
so
Fear the
good.
Reaper comes on in the fucking honestly, one of the best opening sequences of any game I've never played.
You've never played it. Oh man.
I played that opening sequence and I literally paused it and I was like, I have to stop. This is so cool. And then never came back to it. But every so often I get it stuck in my head and I have to watch it again because it's just so cool.
I stand corrected. The first one is not them, apparently.
Oh well then yeah,
Oh, really?
for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3D Realms 2K.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh yeah, 3D Realms. Yeah, I remember them.
So yeah, the Duke Nukem guys.
I mean, the opening
Yeah,
sequence
okay, that
from
makes sense.
The Arcane one is also pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like I have them much higher up the list. I'd have it like 9 or 10. I don't know.
9 or 10 isn't fair, but
you have to, right?
do we put it at 2 and risk having Elder Scrolls or Fallout in the bottom 2?
There's also Hi-Fi Rush.
We could also fill
There's
up
a
the
few.
bottom 2, and then he throws Redfall at us, and we have to put it in the top.
Let's go 9.
But
Yeah,
9
9.
seems, from what we've got left, I think 9's the best fit.
The way this is working out is actually very sad for me that one of my favorite franchises is going to be at the bottom.
Oh,
And so we'll just go ahead here with Fallout.
Fallout, I would put 2 from what we've got left.
For me, I'd have it at 1, but that's
Oh.
just because I spent so much more time in it.
Noah the tiebreaker.
1.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fallout wins.
I have to say, honestly, like I have more
don't
time invested
dislike
in
it.
Fallout than anything else.
Elder Scrolls and Fallout would be my 1 and 2. Preferring
My reasoning behind it is because Fallout offers more variety in types of games. Like there's a bit of survival craft aspect to it as well in certain, like Fallout 76 as an example.
I mean, Elder Scrolls has a TCG, so there's variety.
True.
Had.
True.
That's true. It's been taken down.
I mean, to be fair, Fallout has always been built on Elder Scrolls' engine, so it does walk in the shadow of giants.
So are we putting Fallout 1 then? Is that the decision?
I think so.
All right. So next game, Elder Scrolls.
Oh, okay.
2. 10.
Oh,
10.
Yeah.
It's the worst game Bethesda's ever made.
You know what?
to be fair, you don't like Skyrim that much, so like, yeah.
Throw it on the street with Gretzky.
There's just I need more guardrails in my games. Skyrim's just too open.
You have all the quest markers. It tells you where to go. You just got to find the quests.
Yeah, exactly. You know how long it took me to find Dawnguard?
You can fast travel to most quests in Skyrim and Oblivion.
And avoid all the fancy pieces of candy that you
I
find on
take
the
it
way.
you didn't find the fast travel carriage that's outside of every single city.
I did, but I wanted to walk.
Oh,
That's a you problem.
Yeah, it's glutton for punishment.
Yep.
all right.
But
So what?
all right,
What
so here's
franchise
the
are
end
we
of the list.
putting over at number 10?
I already wrote it at number 2.
Wait, what did we forget that is getting screwed to number 10?
One of my favorite franchises, which is The Evil Within.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never played it.
I mean, I feel like I've talked to you about my opinion on that, but I think that's similar to your situation with Blueprints. I think I just had an unfortunate experience, and that's
Oh, the RNG of The Evil Within fucked you over?
No, it wasn't the RNG. It was yeah. I got screwed on a save, and then
Oh,
that is hard to come back from.
it didn't actually lock me out, but it just made progression a lot more difficult, and I was like, screw this.
Rip
Yeah.
Tango game works though.
Yeah, it's always sad when studios get shut down, especially after releasing a highly successful game.
Well, their last game, the last game was pretty successful. I mean, but it was also a budget title, so it didn't make them that much money.
I guess.
But the game before that did not do super well for them, which is Tokyo Wire, right?
That
Tokyo
is-
Wire,
Ghostwire
Tokyo Hotwire?
Tokyo.
Ghostwire
Ghostwire,
Tokyo.
yeah.
That's it. All right, but I'll quickly go through the list here before we end. But as it stands, we've got The Evil Within at 10, Prey at 9, Indiana Jones at 8, Quake at 7, Wolfenstein at 6, Deathloop at 5, Dishonored at 4, Doom at 3, Elder Scrolls at 2, and Fallout at 1.
I feel like
Not a bad list.
Yeah, no, that's actually pretty solid, I think.
The top 3 to top 5, I think, are where I would have them if I were making it not blind.
You guys would keep Deathloop over Wolfenstein?
That I would
maybe
move.
not. Yeah, that I might drop down.
Which like does make them very first person heavy, but at the same time, that has always been their thing. Well, sorry, they also absorbed companies that's been their thing. So
I mean, that doesn't change if we swap Deathloop and Wolfenstein. They are still both.
And I didn't even make you guys rate Starfield.
oh,
Can we?
I hope that's not a franchise. Yeah.
I was about to say, I hope they don't give up on it and do a sequel because I think it has potential and they just need to introduce aliens and it'll be better. And actually, I just realized I left off another franchise that I should have put on here that actually I personally would have put higher in this list. I forgot about all of these games. They also own Outer Worlds.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
Oh,
And Avowed that we all just played recently.
true.
Oh, well. Next list.
That's the games we didn't mention last time. Tier list.
Yes.
The 3 of us will also have to come up with a tier list for you, or a category for you to rank blindly.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm also considering not telling you guys what the category is.
Ooh.
I think that could be fun. I'd be open to giving that a try.
Aiden looks stressed.
No, not at all. I'm just the potential.
All right. Well, that's all we have for today. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. I hope you all had fun. Again, I'm Darren, here with Sebastian,
Goodbye.
Noah,
Goodbye.
and Aiden.
Toodaloo, everybody.
And we'll catch you all next time. See you later.